it's Trixie, and today I want to bust some myths about the German language. When you search online looking for information about German, you'll come across countless pages listing the 10 most ridiculous German words. German words you won't believe exist. 10 reasons why the German language is extremely weird. You may also stumble upon forums and blogs where people discuss their funny experiences with the language. The problem is, people usually share the most intriguing things, but not necessarily true things. Some do that on purpose to clickbait others. Many simply misunderstood something and aren't even aware that they are spreading false information. Like one of Eric's friends. She claimed that Peppa Pig is called Peppa Wurst in German, which would be Peppa sausage and therefore pretty morbid. Since no Germans were around, everyone agreed that naming cartoon characters after the food that you could make out of them is odd at the very least. Eric was so amused by this weird random fact that he had to tell me about it a couple of days later. I didn't find it so funny.
Of course not. You're a German and everyone knows that Germans have no sense of humor.
No. What I mean is, it was simply not true. Peppa Pig isn't called Peppa Wurst in German. It's Peppa Wutz. And Wutz is just an old German word for pig. Now, obviously, I don't blame Eric's friend for simply mishearing the word. But it's a good example how quickly fun facts and bizarre things about the German language you won't believe can spread. To cast some light on this topic, I decided to search online myself. Looking for the most frequently shared fun stuff about German, the most sensationalist headlines, and then see if I as a native speaker can confirm what the page says. And in today's video, I want to mention the things that failed this native speaker's test. The facts that I identified as myths, or at least only half-truths, truths, and add my 2 cents. Is Rindfleisch-Etikettierungsüberwachungsaufgabenbetragungsgesetz really the longest German word? Do Germans actually use the word Fräulein? And what in the world is an Eierschalen-Sollbruchstellenverursacher? Find out this and more in this episode. Oh, and in case these intriguing questions weren't enough to catch your attention, if you are German, I also have some very good and interesting news for you, which I will share at the end of the video. It's so exciting. So you better watch the whole video if you want to get to know something awesome.
Or just skip to the end.
Firstly, I want to mention the words that you usually find listed as the 10... I would click that. Listed as the most beautiful German words. To which I want to say blah blah blah. Weltschmerz, Wanderlust, Luftschloss, Zeitgeist. Yes, they are beautiful and yes, they exist. But as a German myself, I see some problems here. For example, you will encounter these words sometimes, especially in books or maybe a newspaper. But Germans rarely use them in daily life conversations. I mean, what kind of conversation is that supposed to be? Gudrun, hast du gesehen? Sauerkraut ist im Angebot für 99 Cent die Dose. Oh, und außerdem, Weltschmerz ist die Wurzel des Zeitgeists unserer Generation, ne? Ey, wer seiner Wanderlust nicht nachgibt, ne? Für den wird Fernweh immer ein Luftschloss bleiben. Kannst du dann schön zu Hackbraten machen. Oder ein Mettigel dazu für ein Habit. Meh. Germany, the nation of poets and Germany, the nation of poets and philosophers. I know. It just draws a weird picture that may confuse foreigners that plan to come to Germany. It's true that Germans like to have profound conversations, but it's not that we use these dramatic words all the time. Also, on these pages, it's either always the same freaking 50 words claimed to be super amazing, or extremely weird ones that I've never ever used in my whole life. For example, I found a page here and it says 100 German words you need to know before you visit Germany. 3 of them being Lobhudelei, Spitzbube and Schlafittchen. Ey, nicht mal meine Oma sagt sowas. They are cute, yes, but they are also completely outdated. You need to know them before you come to Germany, but only if you consider time travel. There are so many better words just around the corner that you could pick for these lists, but you never find them because everything that matters is Wanderlust, Fernweh, Spitzbube and Schlafittchen. What about Augenblick, Sternschnuppe, Schnurrbart, Kichererbsen, Eselsohr? No, it's the same unimaginative and misleading stuff everywhere. It's not a big deal, and maybe I'm just too sensitive. But after all these years working with the German language, it just started grinding my gears. Next, the oh so funny German word Eierschalen-Sollbruchstellenverursacher. Literally an eggshell breaking point causer. It plays into this, you can just stack random German words and you end up with a completely new term cliché. We're talking about this device. It's supposed to make it easier to crack the top of an egg open. A punch bell egg cracker, if my dictionary can be trusted. And I mean, you could just crack the shell with the spoon. But why choose simple when there is fancy? Now, in all my life, I have never seen, used, or talked to other Germans about this item, which makes me believe that it's not really a thing in most German kitchens. So how come that when you search online for funny everyday German words, there are millions of pages listing an Eierschalen-Sollbruchstellenverursacher? They are handling it as if Eierschalen-Sollbruchstellenverursacher is a word that Germans say every 3 seconds.
Heute, Eierschalen-Sollbruchstellenverursacher, war ich mit meiner Eierschalen-Sollbruchstellenverursacher Oma im Park und wir haben die Eierschalen-Sollbruchstellenverursacher Enten gefüttert. Eierschalen-Sollbruchstellenverursacher.
This only took 1,000 takes. But surprisingly, the truth is they don't. And the item is not even called like that. You can buy an Eieröffner or an Eierköpfer. Egg decapitator. Isn't that funny enough? But the name Eierschalen-Sollbruchstellenverursacher is definitely not the official term for it. Of course, some brands caught up with the hype, renaming their products so that people searching for Eierschalen-Sollbruchstellenverursacher would find their stuff online. But that's a whole other story. Even though you could refer to this weird item as an Eierschalen-Sollbruchstellenverursacher, it is not a commonly used word. And there are many more normal alternatives. You see, it's not the word that created the hype. It's the hype that more or less created the word. Which is why I would call der Eierschalen-Sollbruchstellenverursacher a myth. If I have to say or hear this word one more time.
Eierschalen-Sollbruchstellenverursacher, 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 Eierschalen...
A similar hype is connected to the longest German word with 63 letters. Do you guys know which one I mean? Probably because it's mentioned everywhere online. Das Rindfleischetikettierungsüberwachungsaufgabenbetragungsgesetz. Short RFL-ETT-UÄ-UG. It's a law that deals with the distribution of supervision tasks concerning the labeling of beef. And beef is the right keyword because there is a lot of beef concerning this word. See, one thing is it never made it into the Duden, the most famous German dictionary, which is why the public is torn whether or not you can actually count it as a proper word. Also, the law ceased to exist in 2013, making Rindfleisch-Etikettierungsüberwachungsaufgabenbetragungsgesetz the name for a dead law that never made it into the dictionary. Kraftwerk Hackfleisch Kraftfahrzeug. Has been a long day. Kraftfahrzeug-Haftpflichtversicherung, the Motor Vehicle Liability Insurance, is what these critical people would call the actual longest word instead. Because you can find it in the Duden and it's still happening. People still have Kraftfahrzeug-Haftpflichtversicherung, but they don't care about the Rindfleisch-Etikettierungsüberwachung. But that would mean that we downgraded from a 63-letter word to a 36-letter one. Still, it's not the Kraftfahrzeug word, but the Rindfleisch word that is listed all over the internet. And I understand. Who cares about dictionary entries or whether a law is still valid? It's so much more fun to share a 63-letter word rather than a 63-letter one and explain a lot of technicalities. Technicalities. So no bad blood. Of course, you can still laugh about and share the Rindfleisch word. Just bear in mind that there is a rat's tail as long as the longest German word attached to the truth here. Kraftfahrzeug-Haftpflichtversicherung is still an impressively long word, you say? It's crazy enough that Germans use a word like that in their daily life, you say? Well, they don't. When we talk about this kind of car insurance, Germans almost always shorten it to Kfz, Haftpflichtversicherung. Which leads me to the next German language meme. Extremely long and complicated German words compared to the words for the same thing in other languages. If you talk about this topic, in 99.9% of the cases, one word is definitely mentioned. You know which one? I bet you do, which only proves my point. Let's say it all together. Geschwindigkeitsbegrenzung, the German word for a speed limit. And yes, it's funny, but I've also grown a bit tired by laughing about it all the time. The thing is, Geschwindigkeitsbegrenzung is indeed something that Germans say. But there's also das Tempolimit, which I personally use way more often. But you won't find that one online, because it's not that long, it's not that funny, it's not extreme. And almost the same applies to all these supposedly aggressive sounding, complicated, long German words. Instead of Lastkraftwagen, we say Lastwagen or just LKW. Gesellschaft mit beschränkter Haftung becomes GmbH. Büstenhalter. BH, Auszubildender, Azubi, Kindertagesstätte, Kita. Memes like that want to entertain you, and that's okay. But don't forget that that's not necessarily what the real life looks, or in this case, sounds like. Lastly, a word that gets misinterpreted a lot. I personally encounter it every now and then in emails from my subscribers and patrons. Liebe Frau Hase. Oder muss ich schreiben Fräulein Hase? Heute ich schaue. This letter is extremely cute. I always appreciate it when you guys write me. But exactly, I'm talking about Fräulein. Funnily enough, on many online pages and even in books sometimes, you'll find the claim that the German Fräulein is the equivalent to the English Miss. Mrs. Miller, Frau Müller, Miss Miller, Fräulein Müller. Just recently I found this in an expat forum. Germans say little woman to unmarried women. How cute is that? Yeah. The truth is that would be accurate if it were 1980 or earlier. That's almost 40 years in the past for all these people like me who are for some reason stuck thinking that 1990 was around 10 years ago. See, we don't use Fräulein anymore. In fact, it even has a negative connotation nowadays. Because it makes it seem as if women are not fully women if they're not married, that unmarried women are still girls, children. You either make a child or you are a child. No, of course it's not that bad. Just be aware that Fräulein is very outdated and that Germans don't really do that anymore. These were all the words and phenomenons that I wanted to talk about today. Now, the surprise that I promised, mainly for the Germans watching this. Just so you know, I'm gonna put ad and Werbung into this corner, even though I was not paid for saying this. I just want to recommend something to you that I think that many of you will like. If you are German, you're probably subscribed to my channel because it makes you see the German language with different eyes. The eyes of a foreigner, basically. Which is why I want to tell you that my good friend and fellow YouTuber Dana from Wanted Adventure wrote a book. It's called You Go Me on the Cookie, related to the funny German expression jemandem auf den Keks gehen. And it deals with her experience as an American moving to Germany with the German language. Her difficulties and frustration with it, but also her fascination and love for it. The whole language journey. Today's video about German language myths shows that misunderstandings and misinterpretations, among millions of other struggles, are just around the corner when foreigners try to learn German. So you can imagine that the book is full of entertaining stories that make you both laugh and think twice. So if you're still looking for a Christmas gift for yourself or your language-loving friends, You Go Me on the Cookie may be the perfect choice. It's gonna come out on December 17, but you can already pre-order it online or in a bookstore of your choosing. Since the book is in German, Dana told me that it would be most interesting for native speakers, but of course you can also read it as a language learner. Firstly, it will help you practice more German by trying to understand it, and secondly, because you will relate to Dana's experiences and feel less alone with your troubles learning the German language. That's all. Think about it. I know for sure what's going to be under my Christmas tree this year. But back to topic now. What do you think about these German language myths and half-truths that I shared? Were you aware that these things are clickbait rather than fun facts or helpful information? Which other lies about the German language have you been told? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. If so, please leave a like because that would make me really happy. You can find Don't Trust the Rabbit on many social media platforms, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!